Hey everybody, it's Erik Torenberg, co-founder, partner of Village Global, a network-driven venture firm. And this is Venture Stories, a podcast covering topics relating to tech and business with world-leading experts.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dwane, a partner at Village Global, here today with my partners Ben Casnocha and Erik Torenberg. We're joined today by David Booth, CEO of OnDeck, a portfolio company we're thrilled to back. David, welcome to the podcast.
Glad to be here, Anne. Thank you.
Thanks, Anne. For the past several years, we here at Village Global have been running the Village Global Accelerator alongside our seed investing practice. It's been a real honor and thrill to support hundreds of founders at inception get their companies off the ground. Today, we at Village are announcing a new partnership with OnDeck. We've reimagined an accelerator at scale to deliver an entirely new value proposition to founders. In so doing, we're sunsetting our Village Global Accelerator program and supporting an OnDeck accelerator called ODX. Our partner here at Village Global, Erik Torenberg, will take on the co-CEO title at OnDeck as part of this partnership while remaining a GP at Village Global. And we here at Village Global will continue to back amazing founders at pre-seed and seed, including, we hope, many graduates from this new ODX program.
David and Erik, congratulations on the announcement. Tell us about ODX. What's the value prop for founders and how will it work?
Thanks for that intro, Anna and Ben. We're really excited to announce ODX. ODX is a $100 million community-backed accelerator fund to invest in 1,000 companies over the next few years and to put many of those founders in business for the first time. And really, it's continuing the great work that we were doing here at Village and that OnDeck has been doing as well, which is removing the bottlenecks for founders to start companies. Whether those bottlenecks were co-founders, getting the right idea, finding the right supportive community, getting healthcare. That's what ODF has been focused on. And of course, one of the biggest bottlenecks or barriers that people don't start companies is capital. And so that's what ODX is aimed to set out to do.
There have been lots of really fantastic companies coming out of OnDeck over the last few years, but there are many accelerator programs out there. Can you give us a little example of companies affiliated with OnDeck and tell us what are the main reasons why founders should pick ODX?
ODF launched in May 2019, so a bit over 2 years ago. We've had 600 companies get created as a result of going through the program. They've raised over $500 million, almost $1 billion now. They're all a bit over 2 years old or under 2 years old. So they're still growing, but we have some ones we're really excited about. First, that OnDeck and Village have done together. So Pave, Invita, Settle, Secure Frame, and dozens of others. And then ones, some people have heard of like Stir and Levels and Contra and many others. And in terms of why founders should pick ODX, in contrast to other accelerators, which we really admire, there's lots of great ones, is for a few reasons. One is that, and this is what we've really learned from the Village Accelerator, is that the custom hands-on process really works. So not every founder is going to raise 3 months from when they start. Not every founder wants to go through this one-size-fits-all experience. Some are raising right now. Some are raising a year from now. Some need to focus on distribution right now. Some need to focus on what their idea should be or finding the co-founder. And OnDeck is giving every partner, every company a dedicated partner based on their specific needs and specific goals over the short term. And it's not just a 90-day experience. It's around their timeline. And we really focus on meeting their needs through a combination of a dedicated partner and hands-on process for whether it's we have people in charge of finding the right co-founder for you and running the entire fundraise process, soup to nuts, in leveraging the OnDeck community to get customers. And to that point, we give all access pass to the OnDeck community. So OnDeck has about 20 programs, ranging from investor programs to customer programs to professional development programs for different employees. And that results in thousands of investors, thousands of potential customers, i.e. companies that could be customers, and thousands of potential hires, because all of those people are looking for the next thing at some point. And then the last thing I'll say is that it's community backed. So these thousands of people that I just referred to all have upside in the fund and thus direct incentive to help those companies be successful.
Yeah, and this has Ben here. And I think, Erik, one of the things we've all learned as a team these last few years is just how powerful it is to help founders think through their seed round financing process and put them in a position where they can succeed by helping them with the pitch, by making introductions, by describing the investor landscape, by talking about round dynamics. And I think OnDeck will be able to do that at such tremendous scale because the data that OnDeck has about VCs, who's doing what, is really second to none. And the community of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of founders who will be able to give advice to their fellow founders as to which VCs to pitch, how to pitch them, to make those intros, I think will be a really compelling value prop for ODX.
That's a great point, Ben. Fundraising when your own can be exciting, but also daunting. Who are the 100 people that you should, 50 to 100 people that you should go out and pitch based on what you're doing and what your stage is? And then how do you get signal through those investors in an incredibly crowded market? And so, we've crafted a process based on what, we learned at Village. Sam Kirshner, who ran that at Village, is now going to be running it at OnDeck. That helps identify who exactly are the right people that you should be pitching, in what exact process you should be pitching them. And then, of course, working through the actual pitch itself, but then really nailing the back channel, i.e. how do we give signal to those investors? One of the things we're going to do at our demo day is it's not just founders that are going to pitch, but it's an angel that is going to come up and pitch the company as well. And really trying to get signal from the noise and help people get their first belief capital, i.e. whether it's their colleagues, their former employers, their former investors, or just other people in the ODX ecosystem. We're excited that a lot of founders are going to have upside in ODX generally by giving them access to be involved even in a small capacity. And so we're picking up of the lessons that we learned from VGA on the fundraising side.
One of the things that excites me the most here, I think, startups are one of the most important drivers of economic growth, of one of the biggest levers we have to increase job creation, quality of life, solve some of the biggest problems around us in society, whether it's climate change, it's human longevity, whether it's infrastructure we need to grow. We can say humanity primarily progresses through technology, and a lot of that technology comes from startups. But for every person who has started a company today, there are hundreds more sitting on the sidelines, and it's actually that group that we're really excited to support as well. So when you think about joining ODX and ODF in this pair, ODX is obviously the community-backed accelerator we're so excited to see here, and with ODF, people can actually join even before they've left their jobs, even before they've got to conviction on what exactly they're going to build. They know that they've got deep conviction about a problem they want to solve in the world. Perhaps they've been living some friction in whatever industry they work in for the past decade, and they've always thought there's a better way to do this, but never had the ability to take the leap and build that startup. Perhaps they've been on a rocket ship already, one of the first or early employees at a unicorn startup and thinking, wow, I could do this myself. I could build a company myself. But this is the opportunity to, just start building those relationships, start validating those ideas before even taking the leap and leaving your job, that we're excited to see unlock so many more startups to come as well.
David, just to clarify, because you mentioned ODF, the Founder Fellowship. So can you just explain to people what's going to happen with original OnDeck Fellowship program, and how does that interplay with ODX, this new accelerator fund that you're announcing?
ODF really takes us back to the purest form of OnDeck back in 2016 when Erik was founded OnDeck, and maybe we can share that story as well. He was at Product Hunt and leaving Product Hunt to explore what was next for him. But it's that time of uncertainty between taking the leap into the void and having the clarity over exactly what you're going to be doing next. Now, ODF was really established around that original pure form of OnDeck, and we're going to take it right the way back to that. So, to be an OnDeck, you have to be working somewhere. Perhaps you've left already, but you're certainly at the very earliest stages of ideation. You are thinking about who you want to build with. You're thinking about what you want to build. We want to surround you with the resources to quickly identify and validate the problems in the industries that you have the expertise and the real passion to focus on. And it'll be an easy path from there to basically anybody in ODF. We want to be your first investor as soon as you're ready. So it'll be as soon as you say so, and as soon as you've got the deep conviction around what you're building, you're an ODX and you're ready to go. Erik, do you want to walk us through the transition between the two as well?
Sure. So ODX and ODF now collaborate in really interesting ways. ODX is for people who have conviction that they want to start a company and that this is what they want to do for the next few years. And we give them money as soon as they get into ODX. ODF is for people who are unsure that they're really ready to take the leap they're still exploring ideas or exploring co-founders, and they want to preserve some optionality that, hey, maybe they'll be an investor, or maybe they'll join a company, or maybe they won't want to start a venture-backed company. And so ODF and ODX are going to work very closely together. There's going to be a lot of crossover, but it's really the difference there is that level of conviction, and that also signals the capital as well. Because once people get the conviction, we give the capital. But one thing we have done is we have committed to everyone in ODF that as soon as they do have conviction, they get the capital. And similarly, they've committed to us that if they start a company, they'll go through ODX. But lots of people in ODF will end up not wanting to start a company, and they might even take an advance that we give. We're going to have advances in ODF for people who are deserving and who need it. And they won't end up starting a company, but they'll be great ODF community members. And that's great.
Super. And you have a bold vision to fund over 1,000 companies in the next couple of years. How do you think about scaling the quality of startups as the volume grows?
One of the things I'm most inspired by is putting people in business, helping give people their shot who might not have done it otherwise. And that's what's so inspiring just about accelerators in general or just first check investing, is that sometimes they may not have started it if you didn't give them that check. Whereas, investing in later stages is awesome and great, but it isn't so focused on sort of net new creation as it is sort of accelerating what's already happening. And that's what we hope to do. We hope that there are a number of people, really talented people who are working at companies who are thinking about starting something, but they don't know that they could get funded for it, perhaps, that we could help accelerate their journey. That's one thing that really excites me about what we're doing here with ODX. The other, in terms of just going big, is we think it's more valuable. We want to create a marketplace effectively where people can come in and find co-founders, can find hires, can find customers, and can find investors. And the more amazing founders that we get, the more valuable that ecosystem becomes. And the key word here, of course, is amazing. There's a little bit of the golden rule of Silicon Valley, which is you never know who's going to be the next Zuckerberg. So treat every really talented founder as if they could. And there's certainly a lot of that's going to happen. And what we've seen and what others have seen, YC is over 50% international, is that the opportunity is truly global. And so Village, of course, in its name has embodied that, and more so in its actions and investment practices. And so we see a huge global element here, helping people from all over the world, get off the sidelines and start companies.
I think there's something that ODX really learned and leaned into over the past 18 to 24 months as well, which is, it's really clear that as any group of people grows, the potential utility from that group grows. Logically, the likelihood of finding the right person there, whether it's to co-found with or to invest in you or to help make that customer introduction, that grows as well. But simultaneously, as a group gets bigger and bigger and bigger, the intimacy of that group falls. Anyone could tell you that sitting around a dinner table with 10 people is going to be more intimate than in a big room of 100 people. ODX balanced this over our growth by doing two things. One is by continuing to invest in that network growth. It drives the utility on the back end. It means that through the ODX product, ODX has a very powerful product right at its core, where anybody coming into ODX will be able to search across the entire network, 7,000 people in any of our 20 programs, whether it's climate, healthcare, longevity, whether it's the product management, engineering programs, and more, access the talent hub, while simultaneously launching more and more intimate programs, more and more focused programs on the front end. So what started out as the original ODF was sort of a generalized program for a lot of people who were exploring what's next. We then launched OD50 for people who are exploring getting a job. We launched ODNC for people who are exploring building with no-code tools to start up. We launched all the sector programs. And so I think a very similar thing happens here, where we actually have all of these, where ODX itself and ODX will be a program that grows very quickly. Everyone who comes in, if you're planning on starting a company within the healthcare space, you'll have access not only to ODX, but also to different smaller pockets of people who are passionate about those spaces that you can connect with. And those networks for us also act as powerful inroads to ODX, where it's the physicians today, it's the climate scientists, it's the people who are out there doing the research, doing the hard work in the industry, who are understanding the problems that need to be solved. And we want to help them get into ODX to actually build those companies. So we think that there is a very scalable formula here. It's not just about acceptance percentages. It's not just about linear number of companies that we can fund. It's about how many people can we put in business, and every single on deck community is going to be out there going deep into different parts of the economy and different groups.
Can you give us some examples of how the founders that have been in the mix to date have really taken advantage of the network you've built?
Yes, and one of the things that truly warms my heart about the on-deck community is just seeing the engagement, the support that we can offer founders throughout the life cycle. Obviously, it's that pre-incorporation moment coming in to explore whether you're going to start a company at all, which was the original founding spark of on-deck. But then to go on and help, in many cases, we've seen perhaps a couple of hundred companies now formed by people who otherwise wouldn't have met each other if they hadn't done so through the on-deck community. Many of them have met their earliest investors through direct introductions into the on-deck Angels program or into the fundraising network. Others have met some of their earliest hires, have gone on to raise their Series A's to continue to scale and get introductions to customers. There's examples like Harry at Abstract Ops, who I know hired a number of employees, including some executives, counts 20 investors that came in through on-deck, 10 or more customers, hundreds and hundreds of supporters, and many more along those same lines. There's between the different types of on-deck communities we've spoken about briefly, but obviously we have our programs for founders, ODF, ODX, and on-deck Scale, which helps founders who are funded with $2.5 million or more raised scale themselves as leaders, but also programs for their employees, because these founders have been the beneficiaries of a community along their journey. And as they build their teams, as they hire functional leaders in design and product management and engineering and growth, we want to empower them to support their team as well. And so, as a company scales, there's on-deck design, on-deck product management, and these programs are not only sort of a one-way street for companies to have their team members join. It's some of the best product managers, some of the best designers in the world coming together for continuous communities. And actually, we've started to see so much more come from that. And that there's a great example recently of a group of designers banded up within the design program to start offering feedback and advice back to founders at the very early stages, to give feedback on whether it's landing pages or pitch decks, and just so many more sort of cross-collaborative opportunities. So it backs into this idea I shared earlier of sort of utility from network scale on the back end. There are now 6,000 or 7,000 active fellows across the on-deck network, across 20 different programs. But each of those programs is more and more focused on a specific persona and a specific stage in a journey, and that we can, as we grow, continue to focus. Where today it might be an on-deck engineering program, tomorrow it might be a machine learning and a full stack and a security engineering program, or today it might be a healthcare network, tomorrow it might be longevity and digital health and different subsets of that. So excited to see both of those vectors grow, and many more founders come out of the woodwork, and many more founders get the help they need at the right time.
Yeah, to build off that, we've had hundreds of people find their co-founders in on-deck, but then continue to use on-deck at different stages along their life cycle. So Max Greenwald, CEO of Warmly, is another example, who met his co-founder Alan in ODF 2, and then later on hired an account executive and growth marketer through on-deck's talent programs, particularly the Talent Demo Day, where companies come to pitch great talent that is actually looking for their next thing, but then use the fundraising concierge, sort of the custom fundraising help in terms of the lists and running the process to help raise from Felicis and NFX. So there are lots of examples there.
So some people say there's too much capital in venture today and too many founders getting backed. You think the opposite. Why is that?
Yeah, we disagree with that pretty strongly. And one clarification I'll say is, we do plan to back 1,000 founders over the next few years, but we also plan to have an acceptance rate that's under 5%, and maybe closer to 1 or 2%, based on what we're seeing in ODF today in terms of the volume of people that are interested. So it's a really high bar to get in. Now, it's not a zero-sum bar. There are more and more founders being created every day, and we think that's an amazing thing, in contrast to people who say, oh, too many founders, oh, too much capital, because I think they're thinking from the perspective of their own returns. And of course, if you're an investor and there's more and more, competition, yes, there's too much capital. And if you're a founder and, your employees are leaving to start companies, well, yes, there's too much founders. If you're thinking about the economy, or if you're thinking about, innovation or solving some of our biggest problems, just look around. The world is broken in many ways. Look at healthcare, look at housing, look at education, climate, fintech. There's just so many things that are broken, so many problems that need to be solved, so many institutions that need to be built. There's this idea called Schramm's law, which says that the single most important contributor to a nation's economic growth, and of course, economic growth is the biggest contributor to reducing poverty, is the number of startups that grow to $1 billion in revenue within 20 years. Now, the economy produces around, or at least when this law was set, around 33 unicorns a year, and we need 100 unicorns a year to maintain post-World War II growth rates. And so the way we do that is to get more founders. And so what we're trying to do, our part there, is remove the bottlenecks why people don't start companies in the first place. And that's just a little bit why we believe that there needs to be more founders and more capital. But we're doing that both on the founder side and on the investor side, both Village and On Deck, right? Village, of course, through its Scout Network Leader program and other initiatives meant to put people in business on the investing side. So we think it's two sides of the same coin.
Can you give us more details about the program?
So applications are open today. We are going to respond very, very fast. We're going to have a 48-hour SLA from the interview, and the interview should also be scheduled within a few days after application. And the program starts in January officially, but we've already onboarded some companies that are starting now because due to our custom process, we're taking companies that a couple of them need to fundraise right now. So you're never too early to join the accelerator. So if you're building right now, feel free to apply both for ODX and for ODF. If you go to the ODX website, we have a few info sessions with people you can talk to. If you're considering it, we have lots of testimonials and from people who've done ODF and VGA and can tell you more about it as well. So yeah, hope to see people apply.
Awesome. Well, on behalf of everyone at Village Global, we're so excited for the On Deck team to be launching and announcing ODX. We're so proud of the hundreds of founders we've backed here at Village Global these last 4 years in our Village Global Accelerator, and think that this next chapter of reimagining what an accelerator looks like in the 21st century by leveraging all of On Deck's unique community assets is such a brilliant offering and will be so valuable to so many startups to come. So we're really excited to support On Deck in this new initiative and encourage founders who are thinking about their next idea to apply to On Deck Fellowship and then ODX to raise their initial round of capital. And we at Village are going to be excited to invest in the pre-seed and seed rounds of many of the great companies coming out of ODX in the years to come. So David, congratulations. Erik, congratulations. And from all of us at Village, onwards and upwards.
Thank you both. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you. This is a great episode. Usually I'm on the interview side, so it felt good to be interviewed, and really grateful for this great partnership in terms of all of it's given us and all it will give us for years to come.
If you're an early stage entrepreneur, we'd love to hear from you. Check us out at villageglobal.vc.